War Eagle War Report family, I'm your host, C-Dub, and today's live show is brought to you by the good folks at GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you're a restaurant owner and you're looking for ways to conserve some energy, you need to visit GWT2Energy.com. The weekend tailgate starts right now.
You are now listening to the unmistakable sound of the War Report Weekend Tailgate. It's your boy, I Jones. Be real, C-Dub, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone. Welcome to the best online tailgate there is. Your source for Auburn football, college football, all things Brian Harsin and the like. It is the War Report Weekend Tailgate. Also, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to UB Will. Happy Father's Day to Ike Jones of our show as well. And all the fathers out there, man, we appreciate you guys for being awesome. I know this is like the 20th. I think it's like the 20th best holiday or something like that. But that's BS. That's bogus. Y'all are awesome. So, fellas, how y'all doing?
Good,
Doing pretty good, man. Feeling the love this morning, from the fam. It's been good. It's been cool.
Awesome. Well, guys, glad y'all are doing good. Hope those who are joining us are doing well. I know it's going to be kind of a interesting day because some of you fathers are being catered to, hopefully, and enjoying your day. But be sure to do the necessary, man. As you're coming in here, please be sure to smash that like button. Please be sure to drop a War Eagle in the comments if you're here. Some of y'all are already doing that already. If you're new and you don't know the drill, please be sure to drop your city, your location, so we'll know where you're streaming this from. And share the video if you're on social media. If you're a Facebook user or on Twitter, please add us at the War Report on Twitter, regardless of whatever social media platform you're watching this or that you're on. Please be sure to use hashtag Get Your Weight Up so that people know that we're out here dropping dope content in the off season. Mike G, what we got coming up this week, brother?
Listen, we are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to save some puppies. I highly encourage you to get involved. If you're looking to put some good in the world, we're going to help you with that and provide a way for you to do that. So please find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. We are giving 50 cents on every dollar to Lee County Humane Society to help them save puppies. It costs them $19 a day to take care of animals in their care that stay 30 to 45 days. So every dollar that you can spare goes to a good cause in helping a puppy find a home. Ike and I have rescues. They're great. They do a lot for us. Our merch store is live. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel as well. And become a member. We are immensely excited about the prospects of this season and what it's going to be like with our subscribers during the season. So we've got a lot of new segments coming for you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of it will be insider only. So I highly encourage you guys to sign up now. We're giving a lot of benefits to our members and we're building that insider content. So there are some things that we do that will be insider only, comment privileges, things of that nature. We want to continue to build our community and keep it troll free. So the Bammers have not found us yet too much. There's one every once in a while, but they're going to be popping up a lot more during the season, especially if Brian Harsin gets this thing popping. So become an insider and please join us. And today we are. Oh, I want to talk about this interview with Josh Payton. So we dropped this interview with Josh Payton, and I want you guys to please go check this out. Josh gave us a great interview. We're going to let this one run for a couple weeks to encourage people to check that out. It was a great conversation about the quarterback situation that will be coming up this season. TJ Finley or Bo Nix, everybody wants to know. what's going to be the thing that's going on there. So we want you to go check out that interview and then weigh in as well too. Who do you think is going to win the job and why? So we're excited about that. Josh will be back regularly with us during the season. Last but not least, we're giving away a watch today. This comes courtesy of Primetime Shop. You can go check them out at www.primetimeshop.com. This is one of our members wanted us to give this away, and we are very, very happy to do this. So hashtag winning time in the comments to win this good-looking Auburn watch. When I got in the mail, I took it out. I inspected it. It is quality craftsmanship, and some lucky viewer who is joining us on Father's Day is going to get to win this. So hashtag winning time. Check your spelling. Make sure it's spelled right so you can get in that. I see the entries coming in now for that. That's it.
And hopefully, Corey, it's someone like you and not a new person. Okay. All right.
Or father, hopefully.
Or father.
Right.
Right. Hopefully a father will win it. So indeed. Also want to shout out. It's a lot of people in the comments, man, hanging out with us, man. We appreciate you guys taking time out of a holiday to hang with us. But also, man, as a person who has a birthday today, Stephen Nash, happy birthday.
Hey.
Father's Day to
that's
you,
crazy.
My guy. You win.
Sorry
You
about
win
that
twice.
loss last night for the Nets, Steve Nash. But you know what I'm saying? We're glad you're here, participating with us. You know what I'm saying?
That game was crazy.
Yeah, it was. That was a good game. I hope the rest of the playoffs are like that. But happy birthday, happy Father's Day to you, sir. And yeah,
Can
man.
we give a shout out to he's been Auburn dad for life as long as he's been in the chat. So obviously, happy Father's Day to you, and congrats on the cookies that your son made you. And glad you could join us for the show, man.
Indeed. Well, guys, let's go ahead and get on with the rest of the show. Guys, listen, if you've been under a rock the past few days, of course, you know, we talk about the portal a lot, but this is another edition of the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. This time it kind of took away from us because it was announced that incoming freshman Hal Presley entered the transfer portal. Now, of course, this kid was 6'3", 190, looked like he was going to be a split end, big receiver for us. Out of Arlington, Texas, a 3-star recruit. He was 53rd recruit in the state of Texas and the 63rd wide receiver in the 2021 recruiting class. He committed back in November of last year, enrolled into Auburn just a few short weeks ago, and has hit the portal. Now, a lot of you guys were asking us about this and what do we know? And as usual, we tell you guys, we're not insiders. All right. So your guess is as good as mine, but I am really good at researching. Okay. And one of our friends, Nathan King of 24/7 Sports, he put an article out about it and actually commented on allegedly what a source told him was that he got homesick. That's pretty much what that was. And currently is back in Texas and will likely pursue a school that's closer to home. So for some of you guys who feel that he's going to be at UCF, I doubt it. Okay. Mm-hmm. If what we've been told is true, that it was just a matter of being homesick and away from home, I see him staying closer to Texas if that's true. But I want to get some of you guys' thoughts because during the offseason, we had seen we got some great people who follow the War Report, who send us tweet at us on Facebook. Y'all tag us on stuff. And I had an opportunity, Mike G, I know you had an opportunity to see some video of Hal Presley, and the kid looked impressive. Yeah. In fact, he was someone that we were looking forward to seeing, as you know, if he could be someone who could be in the playing rotation this upcoming fall, because of the opportunities that were left behind, a lot of our productive receivers leaving for the pros. So Mike G, someone that you were excited to see, what do you make of this situation based on what we've heard, based on what we know? It's not a whole lot, but what are your thoughts on that?
So let me address the homesick thing. This is common. It's common for kids to be homesick, but I'm a little perplexed because I think he had only been on campus like a week or two.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks, yeah, and then got homesick. So when I heard that, my first initial thought was, did he feel at home? I mean, was it, how did he feel around his teammates? What was the environment like? Auburn is not a place you come to and feel not at home, generally.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was a little perplexed by that. But at the end of the day, if that's actually what it was, I saw a video of the team running stairs in the stadium. I was like, man, he probably ran them stairs to the top of Georgia. I was like, nah, going back to Texas. That's what I was thinking too, right? So I'm not sure what to make of it. I don't think that it's a huge loss for us at this point, right? Now, I don't think it's a huge loss. I think that this kid, he was a 3-star coming in. I thought he had 4 or 5-star potential though. But ultimately, this staff's job, this is part of the attrition that every school is going to have to deal with moving forward because of the portal. Kids have choices. They're not tied to this. And at the end of the day, I don't know that you want a player on your team that doesn't want to be there. If his mind is at home, but he's here in Auburn, he may have left his game there too in Texas. We certainly don't need that. That young man doesn't need that. So I'm pulling for him. I respect I respect the decisions that these players make in their own interests. So he did what he felt like was in his best interest. I just hope it doesn't speak negatively to the environment that he walked into. Parson is asking for hard work from everybody, guys. He's not allowing people to come in and slouch. I hope this doesn't say anything about this young man's work ethic, but for what we're hearing, it's not easy sledding there on this practice field in this weight room since the Brian Harsin train arrived in town. So we'll see how it goes. Not too disappointed. Whenever we lose anybody, it feels like but there's plenty of talent for them to develop, which is going to be the story of this wide receiver room.
Right.
Can you work with the guys that you have?
Yeah. B, what's your take, man? What's your thoughts?
I'm not so disappointed because if we look at his measurables and say, wow, we lost a 6'3", 210-pound receiver, then every time you tell me a receiver is 6'3", 210, I'm like, all right, so if he was recruited even somewhat heavily, he's got to be talented, and we lost some talent, and that's a bad thing. But at the same time, what we've been lamenting around here is not that there's no talent in the wide receiver room, it's that they don't have experience. And in that case, Hal Presley didn't have any college experience either. So I don't know how upset you can be that, oh man, we lost another guy that didn't have experience. Well, he was going to get thrown into a pile of other guys who at least had a spring under their belt with the offense. Hal Presley, I seriously doubt Hal Presley would have cracked this rotation with the reset on the offense. The guys who recruited him, long gone. This isn't Chad Morris's offense. This isn't Gus Malzahn's offense. So, and that may have played a part as well. Listen, the guys who told me that I should come here and
don't do it, Lawrence. Don't do it. You said Chad Moore. Don't do it. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, B, but continue.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, so the guys who recruited him, they aren't here, and I know that has to at least play a part of why you don't feel quite as comfortable. And it's not that Auburn isn't a welcoming place. To Mike G's point, it's that I don't know if you ever the one time where you feel the least at home is probably when you first get there. If you don't come in with a whole bunch of people from high school or around the city that you knew, It's important to kind of have that foundation around you. Like when I came, I knew Ike already. We were best friends, homeboys from church. That's why I knew Ike. So I came here with the foundation, somebody here, and he could introduce me to all the guys and all the people he knew. And I instantly had a foundation at Auburn when I got here. But that's not the case for somebody who's coming from so far away and who the people who told him that he should be here aren't here anymore. So it makes sense. Do I buy that it's just homesick? Not necessarily. That's a little tough for me to buy. And I think it's good to just say whatever you need to say. And like we've said plenty of times, the one type of player I don't want at Auburn is the player who does not want to be here. No, you're never going to be able to put in 100%, give it everything you've got if you just don't really want to be here. So we want people here who love it here. And if he wasn't loving it, hey, you know, more power to him. I hope he finds what he's looking for wherever that's at. And I'm less concerned about the departure than I would have been if he had gotten here in the spring and left quickly.
Right.
That would have been a little more alarming to me. That means with everything that you saw tangibly happening in football practice, that I don't like that. I'm out of here. To me, they weren't even running plays. You weren't even getting coached. So I don't think it can just be on the environment that of the program. It's more here in a place this many thousands of miles away without friends and family. I'm not really feeling it. This in the offense I came for. Nah, I'm just going to do this somewhere else. I'm out. So I'm not upset, not mad at it. I'm looking forward to the guys we have on the roster showing us something, because I think we have the talent. And I've maintained this, and lots of us have maintained this. The talent is here. It's not experienced, and it doesn't know the system. So it's going to look like a bit of a mess at first, but I fully expect mid-season our roster, our wide receiver depth will work itself out, and we'll be fine.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you think, because listen, I don't think this is the first time a kid has gone to college, and to your point, B, and felt homesick. This isn't the first. It won't be the last. But do you think a lot of this is a result because a lot of kids who felt homesick in the past didn't have the portal to rely on to get back home, right? So do you think the portal basically makes it easier for kids who have a knee-jerk reaction to a culture shock being away from home to perhaps get back home or enter the portal?
Yeah, like it's absolutely a reset button if you need it. And, you know, like you said, we didn't have that option before. Guys didn't have that option before.
They toughed it out.
They toughed it out. And Ben Grubbs actually said he was having a rough first year. We interviewed him on Building Rapport, and he said, I called my mom's and I was like, I'm not feeling it. I don't really know if I love football enough to keep doing this here. And she said, no, you staying. And transfer wasn't as serious of an option at that time. So he stayed, and it worked out well for him. But who's to say what will and won't work? I mean, we don't know. We don't know what Hal Presley's going to be. Maybe he goes and plays with Sark, and, you know, 2 years from now, he's a starter, and they're talking about him in the first, second round of the draft. I don't know. Or maybe he fizzles out and he ends up at, you know, Coastal Carolina. Not that that's terrible, but if your aspirations are SEC and championships, and you're taking a step down to a smaller level, then I don't think that's what you had planned for yourself. And it's not that you can't be successful there, but we don't really know how that story is going to end because we don't know the kid well enough. He wasn't here long enough for us to get a read on.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good and bad of the portal, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is the good and bad of the portal. We like it because it gives kids options just in case they make a bad decision or it ends up not being the right situation for them. There's an out. But then what you're going to have is you're going to have kids that are going to bail on situations that may have ultimately worked out for them.
Premature.
Yeah, if they had toughed it out.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. You're not going, hindsight is, you know, you're not going to be able to look back and say I should have stayed, truly, because unless you got a crystal ball and can see the future. But this is the good and bad of the portal. It gives them more choices, but it gives them potentially more wrong choices to make as well too. So
absolutely.
My only hope is for this young man that it works out in the long run.
Yeah, and then again, we've been to Auburn. We know how our lives have been impacted as a result of being a part of this institution, being students here, the relationships that we've fostered that even led to the creation of the War Report. All right. So we want him to find an institution, a school that's going to pay off dividends for him in the future. If it's not Auburn, then I hope he does find something that makes him a better person, a better athlete, helps him to realize his dreams. And maybe Auburn's not the best fit. I mean, he was recruited under a different staff. So you know, he got here and realized this is a different thing than what I was sold, you know? So at the end of the day, yeah, I would love to see him in orange and blue contributing and being helping us win games. But at the end of the day, I want that kid to be successful and happy. And I hope he made the right decision. I hope he doesn't do what Kamal Hadden did and regretted the decision to leave wherever he goes. I hope that he feels, and I think Mike G has said this, man, we won't know the payoff on some of these decisions until a few years down the road. So
Thanks.
Best wishes to this kid, man. And I hope it works out for him.
For sure.
So yeah. So let's talk about this, man. We talked about that, and we do have our wide receiver room is interesting. We got a list of guys here. Now we don't have the starters outlined, but I'll read them to you real quick. The starters that we had coming out of spring was Elijah Canyon, Kobe Hudson, and Javaris Johnson. Okay. Those were the starters coming out. And of course, we know Shedrick Jackson, who's listed at the top. I mean, I got them listed in terms of seniority or the amount of playing time. You had Shedrick Jackson. You had Capers, who was injured. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about Malcolm Johnson, who's been here, Kalen Newton, whatnot. We know, we've seen what Capers is capable of doing. We've seen Jackson in playing time. I guess my question going into this is that we don't see a lot of experience on this outside of Shedrick Jackson, who people have given him a hard time. We're not going to say the nickname we gave him last year, but when we look at this, there's a lack of talent here, but there is a lack of experience, especially going into the fact that this is a completely new system that's requiring more of them in terms of responsibilities, in terms of being able to read the defense and know how to attack the defense. Okay. So my question is, the issue isn't talent as much as it is experience, right? And we've seen Auburn address the issues with quarterback, right? TJ Finley is in at Auburn, and the hope is that he's able to provide some competition for Bo, and that there's more competition in that room, which will hopefully lift the level of play in that room. We had no concerns about Tank and Shivers. We know what those guys can do, but behind them, you kind of wonder who can come in or step in should one of those guys go down with an injury, considering they're going to be carrying a heavy load in the fall, right? But they went out to the portal, got a kid who's an Alabama native. He's expected to contribute in some form or fashion. You got the true freshman. Issues on offensive line are documented in terms of depth, but people came out of spring really concerned. Josh Payton even acknowledged that he felt like Auburn needs to hit the portal for a receiver. My question to you guys is, from an experience standpoint, do we have issues with depth at the receiver position, considering the changes that are happening at that position? I'm gonna start with you, B.
So what I'm worried about on offense is not necessarily depth, because if I was looking at Auburn's roster at wide receiver, I would say none of those guys have played. But if I don't have significantly more experience, if I don't jump to the top of your one deep, then I'm in here scrapping it out with everybody else. And that may be okay for some guys, but we've already seen that some people don't want that. Me, then I'm gonna get in here and fight for my life, and then I'll get some snaps if I deserve it. I don't want you to tell me that I am going to, play this one position, but I don't want to play that position. I want to play, the X. I want you to tell me where you see me playing. I want you to tell me what type of snaps I'm going to get per game, and I want that. People change schools specifically for that reason. They leave any school. Bama's had some defections. Ohio State's had some. Lots of people have left a lot of high-profile schools because they didn't like what the prospect was of playing time. So I can understand anybody who doesn't want to come to Auburn because they say it may look muddy, and I completely get that. I don't think this is about playing time as much as it's about what is your offense going to look like. You cannot tell anybody what this offense looks like because it's not just going to be Mike Bobo. It's not just going to be Brian Harsin. And being truthful, neither one of those offenses look lights out or NFL-ish or video game-ish the last time they were on the field in the full season. They haven't. So you don't know what this is going to look like. And I think a lot of schools are going to go to places where, like, if I was a wide receiver prospect, I would go to Texas first without knowing what their defense is going to look like, because I saw Sarkisian put up video game numbers, albeit with much better talent than he will probably ever see again at Texas. But at least I know you can do it. At least I know that you have plans to do it and intentions of doing it. And even if you never reach those heights, you can say, look what I did. I want to do that. And I can say, yep, I know where Jalen Waddle went. I know where Devontae Smith went. Sign me up. So we don't have the ability to tell somebody, here is exactly what it's going to look. We've all understood. We are kind of working on good faith here. It's like, all right, you saw what was bad about Gus. You know what type of talent we need in here. We need you to put it together this first year, even without all the pieces you might need to do it. And hopefully that is the step that gets us those recruits that we're looking for. Because right now, I don't know, man. I don't think depth is the issue. I think it's you haven't shown anything. You've got to prove what is it you're trying to do. How good are you at actually doing it? We knew what Gus Malzahn wanted to do. He couldn't do it. So it's like, yeah, you might want to do this. And he had credit every time we were on a broadcast. They said, oh, Gus, high-powered offense. I'm thinking, man, that was like 4 years ago, dude. Don't do that. We know what he wants to be, but can he do it? And he couldn't do it consistently. We don't even know what they want to be yet. And I think once that question gets answered, we will be fluid on offensive talent, just like we are on defense right now.
What you got, my G?
Yeah, I will say I think we do know what they want to be. I think the question for them is, what can they be this year with the talent that we have? You know, what will our offensive line allow us to be? What will our quarterbacks allow us to be? So, to answer the question, do we have depth issues? Yes, profoundly yes. We have a lot of depth issues because we have not seen it. That's part of the reason why we changed coaches. Because offensively, we have just not had a lot of depth at all.
Yeah.
We're one deep at all the skill positions, one deep at quarterback, not deep. We're thinning out every year, offensive line. So there is a lot of talent there, but depth is about experience and capability. So when you look at this wide receiver room, there's tons of talent. 3- and 4-star talent. They just don't have the experience. And that's where this new staff has to earn their paycheck.
Yeah.
Get in, develop these kids. And in these cupcakes in these first 3 games, can't stress enough, get guys experience. When the blowout is happening, rotate guys in and get these guys meaningful game experience at wide receiver.
Right.
Spend the first 3 or 4 weeks developing depth.
Mm-hmm.
First 2 weeks, and then going into Penn State, you need to have some guys that you can rotate in and out in case of injury or if a guy's just not playing well. What we hope is this system is functional enough in the first 2 weeks that they're still not trying to work out basic things. The starters have to stay in the whole game.
Right.
This schedule, these first 2 weeks, man, should be install weeks. They should practically be offensive install practices where we whoop the other team defensively. The offense can hold the ball for as long as they need to, try as many things as they need to, and it works, and just figure out what kind of team you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So in our wide receiver room, a lot of people feel like we're going to be a run-heavy team this year because of the questions at quarterback. And I can't stress enough, wide receiver is one of those positions where your fate isn't always in your own hands.
Yeah.
It is highly dependent on a lot of other factors before the ball can even get out of the quarterback's hands to get to you. And that's where we're at. Are we going to be able to deliver the ball to these guys enough for them to develop any depth? Or is Harsin just going to say, we don't have it this year, so run, and try to pass every once in a while? I think that would be the most disappointing outcome.
Right.
If we don't even attempt balance.
Right.
We need to be able to do that for these wide receivers so they can get meaningful reps and not just go in there and block for a whole season. especially when you don't have any depth. Because what will happen is if you do that, you're going to go into next season with no depth. Really, they will have been on the field. But you ain't throwing on the ball. You're not developing depth.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how I feel about it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think, one of the things that I've made note of Brian Harsin with his past offenses is that they've been very disciplined. I've seen a lot of discipline on that side. His teams are usually pretty well disciplined teams, right? And so one of the things that I want to see is when you mention development, Mike, I want to see there are some things that are important. We know their productivity is relying upon them getting the ball in their hands. So there's two things I want to see. I just want to see how these guys do when they don't have the ball in their hands. One of the things that we've noted in past years is that the blocking on the perimeter left a lot to be desired. Do these guys want to get out there and work and block and allow these plays to develop to where they're productive? And can Bobo and Harsin scheme these receivers open and take advantage of what the defense is giving them? And that's something that hasn't happened enough in past offenses. In our past offense with the previous coaching staff, is that we had a coaching staff that was determined we were going to fit that square peg into a round hole. This is what we do. It is what it is. But what I'm looking forward to with Bobo and Harsin is they actually look at what the opposing defense is doing in game film and says, this is what they're vulnerable to. This is what they like to do. We're going to put our receiver in this open spot, get them the ball, and let them work. And if you're doing that, you're going to develop these guys because now you're teaching them how to attack defenses, not just run a standard 1-2-3 routes every play, right? Yeah. And it's going to encourage them to, even when this play isn't designed for them, that you do your job, you do your part. It's Tank's time to shine. It's Shiver's time to shine. Block so they can make some plays in the open field.
Yeah.
And trust that when it's your turn, the coaches are going to do their part. And that just goes to trust, that you trust that when it's time for them to call your name, that they call your name and everything that works. Again, Mike G talked about it, that they address issues up front with the O-line, giving the QB time to work. The QB shows competence in the pocket and does what he needs to do to get the ball to you. And when you get the ball thrown your way, you don't let it hit the ground. You catch it and do work. If we can get those things going in the next year or two, then development and depth issues won't be an issue. The proof of concept is there. We can then go to these kids and say, listen, this is what we're doing now. We just don't have you. You can take us to the next level.
Right.
But you've seen what we can do with guys less talented than you are. So I think in terms of depth issues, I think we have a lot of inexperience, but it's a great opportunity to develop and coach these kids up and actually teach them how to play in an offense that attacks defenses.
Yeah, I would argue that a lot of first-year coaches come in and have depth issues, which is why they're first-year coaches at that school. Few coaches come in and take over well-talented teams unless you lost a coach to scandal.
Right.
But when you lose a coach to performance, usually depth is an issue because kids aren't performing.
Right.
So there's talent there. What can he do? And it doesn't have to beat the world this year. It needs to look competent and like it's moving forward. And I know we're talking about wide receivers, but you can't talk about wide receiver development unless you have a quarterback that can get them the ball. Those are just cold hard facts. This thing is going to start at quarterback. I don't want to hear about offensive line protection. Scheme around that. Get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly.
Right.
Yeah. So I listed a stat talking about Jarrett Stidham in 2017 and how he was able to overcome what was a really bad offensive line that year in pass pro. And those receivers were able to eat enough that they could find some production because you had a quarterback who's generally accurate when given time, could make plays happen here and there. So it's not like we've been doing terrible at wide receiver. It's just opportunities have been so limited for them to develop.
Yeah.
And the scheme that year really fit the talent. Ryan Davis in a West Coast style offense that Chip Lindsey running, like that was ideal for Ryan Davis's skill set. And I mean, it worked out well.
Yeah, it was just and it's gotta be a little bit more of that this year in year one. It may not translate to wins on the field, but it can still look competent,
right?
Yeah,
even in a loss. So that's what I want to see, because you're not going to be able to get these skill guys to keep coming to Auburn if you can't show proof of concept, like you said, Caesar.
Yeah,
you have to have proof of concept and earnestly be trying to work towards that, so that your guys on the field, even forget recruits, man, the guys that you have, showing proof of concept to them is just as much.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's important so they can keep hope alive that we're going to get this right, and our coaches aren't just going to bail on it because we didn't get it right in one game.
Right.
So I'll be interested to see how they do that. But yes, we have massive depth issues.
Well, let me ask you this. We had Jeffrey Lee on a few weeks back, and he talked about the fact that Auburn, there was a potential guy who could enter the portal by all accounts. And someone asked, do we have any new news about recruiting and whatnot? No, we do not. But I haven't heard, just from my research, I haven't heard any news in terms of the portal, in terms of who Auburn is looking at getting. Do you think that Harsin needs to grab an experienced receiver out of the portal, or just make do with what he has and take advantage of the 50 tight ends we have? Like, what does, in your opinion, what should be the approach of this coaching staff almost going into June, going into July? What you got, B?
I think I'm glad you mentioned tight ends, because that's the one group that's on offense that is stacked with talent.
Yeah.
Now they haven't shown much as far as on the field, because they have got wide receivers haven't gotten a shot. Tight ends have gotten no shot for the last 3 years. So we are way behind the 8 ball. But what we do know is that we've had coaches saying, listen, our tight end room looks good. We've had some scouts saying, listen, our tight end room looks good. We've had people who cover Auburn have been in practices, have been at A-Day, and said, listen, the tight end room looks good, which is why you can move Pegues from there to defensive line. So I expect that, to be fair, I don't think we need a tight end a wide receiver out of the portal, because to Mike's point, we have to be sure that anybody we bring in, are we going to be able to get them the snaps, get them the reps, get them the targets that are going to make them more experienced and better wide receivers. And right now we've got a mishmash of guys who all need the same thing, experience.
Mm-hmm.
A new wide receiver, unless he was a clear heads and shoulders, this guy has produced from wherever he's at. And I am waiting anxiously for Jeffrey Lee to be like, hey guys, this is the one. Like, every time I'm checking the timeline, I'm like, all right, Jeffrey Lee, I see another transfer announcement. Is that the guy? But he said he would add us when it happened. So I'm waiting for that to happen. But is that guy just going to come in here? If he's not clearly a better, more skilled, or a highly producing wide receiver already, then I don't think it adds anything, because I still believe we have the talent in that room. It's going to take a season to sort it out. Maybe I'll take that back. It's going to take about 8 games at receiver to sort it out. At running back and offensive line, you're going to have to know almost immediately what you've got there, because those guys are going to be in the fire. They're going to have to run block. They're going to have to pass block. At wide receiver, like Mike is saying, yeah, you can get out there and run some motion. You can run your route. You can do some blocking. But whether or not you have the skills to take advantage of a DB, whether or not you are on the same page with both the offensive coordinator and the quarterback, as in they're playing zone. If you see this, that means zone. Here's your spot. You go to it. That takes so much recognition. That takes time. That takes reps. And I think it's going to be over half a season before we know what to make of what we got in that room. I don't think a new receiver that's new into the system makes sense unless it is somebody that Bobo or Harsin have already coached. They already know the X's and O's, and Harsin and or Bobo already know what to expect. That's the only clear win here. If there is a receiver talented enough to crack our 1D that already has a head start on system, that's a guy we need to get. Or if he's just massively been productive wherever he's coming from in transfer. Other than that, I think we're just going to have to resign ourselves that the receivers aren't going to be great, and it's going to take far over half a season before we know exactly what we've got at that position, because they won't be the focus of the offense. They won't get the snaps and the type of targets that are going to let us know who they are. And we've got to be okay with that. We are really hoping that running back and tight end make enough of a difference, carry enough of the load, and that the coaching makes the right calls and schemes so that those positions can get us down the field, hold the ball for the offense, and not put our defense in terrible position. He touches the ball every play, but it's not going to be the wide receivers just leading it for it. And that's got to be okay until we know what we got.
So let me ask you this, B. Let me ask you this. So it's almost kind of like, and it's funny, I use this example because it's very related to wide receiver, as Mike G mentioned. But you have a young quarterback, and you've seen teams that play a young quarterback, and they keep the they don't open him up until like later in the year once he starts feeling more comfortable with what he's seeing, right? But they usually handhold him along. Is that kind of what you're talking about with the wide receivers? You're gonna scheme some plays for them to get open because you're gonna have to throw to them, or else teams are going to stack the box early in the season, right? They're gonna have the offense figured out very quickly. Right. But if you figure out different ways to get the balls to other skill players and take the focus off of those receivers until they can get their feet up under them, do you think later in the year, as people start focusing and keying on the tight ends and other position groups, do you think that that's when you can take advantage and begin to bring those receivers along as they begin to develop confidence in what they're doing and the knowledge of the system?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think the confidence that those receivers will have just seeing the coaches work with what they've got. Like if they really can scheme around some deficiency at offensive line, some poorly coached quarterback play in the past, and a limited amount of experience at wide receiver, and you see those tight ends get their numbers and get the chunk plays and get the touchdowns, everybody on the team will start to believe in the coaches more when they see the coaches do more with less. And then that buy-in picks up. And then I think practice has to pick up. I mean, what if we're still in the hunt for the SEC West 6 games in? So we've got LSU and Georgia, and we only dropped one of those. You know what? Listen, if we beat LSU on the road, or we beat, people are paying attention now. They're like, all right, guys, listen, you said you were making it different. Our offseason program was hard as hell. We just beat somebody we hadn't beaten in forever. I'm listening. I'm paying attention. So now I'm going to be running those routes maybe a little bit harder, because even if I made some mistakes early, I had a drop, I didn't go to the right spot. You expect that. They're inexperienced. But if the coaches, really put us in position to be competitive in every game, I think it's going to take one big win. And then everybody's ears are going to perk up. All the players are going to have full attention forward, and they're going to be ready to take that next step. And we just need 2 or 3. Well, hopefully we've got 4 or 5, but 2 or 3 to really get into shape. And I think that will make all the difference for the rest of the season after that.
Sounds like you're talking about building trust with those kids. And talk to me about that, Mike G. Like the importance of building trust. Because so someone says, "What do we do in year 1?" I say establish trust with these kids, that you know what you're doing. But talk about the importance of that, Mike G, in terms of year 1.
Yeah, year 1, it's going to be it's mainly just going to be what is this system requiring of them? Is it putting them in a place where you can even evaluate anything from your wide receivers? So that's what I'm looking for this year. Does the system allow you enough to be able to evaluate? I still think that we have tons of talent in this wide receiver room. Malcolm Johnson Jr. was my sleeper. He showed flashes of that during A-Day.
Yeah.
I mean, the talent was there. And what did we see in down the field in big play situations? We're struggling still to get those guys the ball in a position where they can make a play. So for a young wide receiver core, I think that ball placement is going to be big for kids who don't have a ton of experience. But if you're forcing your quarterbacks to make your wide receivers to make a bunch of adjustments just to make the catch, it's going to be really difficult on these kids. So the scheme has to scheme them open, give your quarterback good throws, good makeable throws, and then get these guys the ball in space and let them show off their athleticism. We got athletes, man. If you can get them the ball in space, it could be fun. It'll be really fun to watch. I know a lot of people just are because of what we've done at wide receiver over the years. It's hard for a lot of people to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
But the talent has always been there. The scheme was just so run play action heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That we could not do anything if the line wasn't all world and pass pro. This offense has struggled historically.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, what we have are some coaches that just understand that a short, quick passing game can be just as effective as a running game.
Yeah.
Keep them off balance, and then it should take get these receivers going. It'll take some pressure off this line and free some holes for Tank and Shivers to run wild.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you don't respect the pass, I don't care how good your running backs and your offensive line are in our league, if people can just stack the box against you with no real threat of you burning them deep, that's going to be a problem. So the vertical passing game has got to be where our receivers take the biggest step.
Yeah.
Beyond downfield, I mean, we were piss poor. We have been. And these guys have the speed to get behind. And I'll point to, this isn't a quarterback bag, but I'll point, it's an example of what will help this offense a lot. Was in A-Day, Malcolm Johnson Jr. had what would have been a touchdown. A clean touchdown all the way down the field. The ball was so poorly underthrown. He had to slow up, and the DB was thrown back into the play.
Right.
And these opportunities for these guys may be limited this year, depending on who's throwing them the ball. So we have to be able to scheme them open and give them easy throws. And then we just need, when they get a chance to make plays, they're just going to have to make plays.
Right.
We had some disappointing drops over the last year as well, too. I'm hoping that this new set of receivers got some better hands.
I'm hoping Cornelius coaches that out of those guys.
No, man, listen, make them walk around with the football to class. On the concourse. I mean, they've just got to hold on to the ball when they get a chance to make plays, because that's also how you help an inexperienced or a struggling quarterback as well, too.
Right.
So this all has to work together, this whole system. The O-line takes a lot of heat, that I feel is unfair. The quarterbacks take a disproportionate amount of the heat. The wide receivers are taking heat. Everybody on offense is taking heat.
Right.
But incorporating in tight ends and giving these guys some, it's kind of like a jump shooter in basketball, right? You go to the free throw line and then you sink a couple free throws, and just seeing the ball go through the net is helpful to the psyche of a jump shooter.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you want to have flow on offense, particularly in your pass game, you do have to get the ball to these guys enough for them to actually gain some meaningful experience.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen if we go in and just say, oh, we can't pass it, so we're going to run, tank into the ground.
Right.
You're setting your team back another year. So to the question, should we go out and grab somebody in the portal? No, man, develop the guys you have. Unless it's there was a rumor about Justin Ross a month ago. Unless it's that type, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know why you want to come here, but like right now, with so many unknowns.
Yeah.
But unless it's that type, I'm not interested in going out and getting some portal wide receiver.
Yeah.
Develop the guys we have, man. We have talent. I want to see Malcolm and Xavier and JJ Evans, right? And Javaris Johnson,
Kobe Hudson.
Kobe Hudson. I want to see all these kids ball out. They all showed flashes of greatness.
Yeah.
And a little bit we got to see.
And before we get to the announcements, Mike G, I do want to say and address something that Solomon said. I'm gonna be watching this closely because I felt like there was times that Bo knew went before the ball was snapped where the ball was going. I would love, again, taking what the defense gives you. I would love to see a better distribution of the ball to guys who are actually open and have found soft spots in the other team's zone or defense or what have you. And sometimes it's not always going to be your primary receiver. If our quarterbacks can get to that point to where they can do that, that's progress for this offense. And I think it makes us even dangerous in terms of how we attack opposing defenses moving down the road. So definitely wanted to point that out. Mike G, we're almost at the midway point, man. What announcements you got for us, sir?
Oh man, listen, become an insider. We appreciate all our insiders. We want to be able to keep this conversation going, expand content and opportunities for you guys to engage about football, especially when the fall gets here. It's going to be one hell of a ride this season, I'm sure, win, lose, or draw. We're going to be here with you for all of it. We've got a lot of things coming up. So we announced it a couple weeks ago, Betting with B. Will. We just dropped a new segment called For the Record. Thank you to everybody who watched that and commented. That segment will be evolving as well. And we're going to be doing Monday film reviews. Our Sunday lives will stay. Our Wednesday lives will come. Facts or No is not going anywhere. We have a lot of content. We got a lot of content coming you guys' way. So we appreciate our insiders. Become an insider if you want to make sure you have access to all that. Our merch store is live. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Not too proud to beg when it comes to saving an animal's life. This is our good that we've chosen to do. Please help us do so. You can donate. The link to our GoFundMe is in the About section of our YouTube channel. Every 50 cents on every dollar goes to helping save an animal's life and help people find the joy that we have found, certainly. So we appreciate everybody who's been donating there. I've seen some very generous donations over the last couple of weeks. I really appreciate that. We're giving away a watch today. This comes via our Primetime Shop. You can go check them out at www.primetimeshop.com. We're giving this watch away. Thank you to them for donating this watch so we could give away on the live stream to you. Just drop a hashtag winning time if you entered the live stream after the first couple minutes and missed it. To enter that, we got 140 people in here and not 140 entries. So if you are entered, you probably don't want to see any more, but we do want to see everybody have a chance to win this watch. So please hashtag winning time to enter the drawing, and in about 10 minutes we're going to draw for that.
Dope. Well, let's go ahead and get into the last part of it. And this is I think you guys discussed this particular player on a Wednesday night war room. I was out, but I want to ask you guys a certain question. It's regarding Torrance, who was I believe the latest guy to commit to Auburn. I think he was committed to Tennessee at one point, decommitted, and Auburn swooped in and got him. This kid was out of Bessemer, Alabama, came from I think he played a year or so in community college or JUCO route, and was just recently named, and B maybe even alluded to it then, but named the National Junior College or NJCAA Defensive Player of the Year. And so to me, it's just I've just been very impressed. And one of the things that I was looking at in this particular coaching staff is the talent evaluations. how they evaluate talent. Now, what I've also learned this year, now I kind of knew this, but I've learned that if you haven't been recruiting a big time recruit for at least 2 years, you don't have a big chance of landing them, right? And I think that was the problem with this coaching staff coming in the middle of a dead period. You also had coaching staffs, members of this coaching staff who coached at different parts of the country, who hadn't established relationships with some of these kids in the Southeast and in the South, had no chance to make up a lot of ground in 2021 and for the most part 2022. So we're seeing a lot of the relationships that they're building with recruits in 2023, 2024, and these are big time guys. So what we've been seeing them do is adapt their recruiting strategy in light of the situation that they're in. And what I've been impressed with is they have managed to find diamonds in the rough, is what it appears to be. And it almost brings me back to a throwback of the Tuberville era, where Tuberville and staff had a knack for finding diamonds in the rough and just coaching these kids up. And so I'm impressed with this particular approach, because I felt like at times with the previous coaching staff, it was 4 or 5 star or bust. If we didn't get the guy who everybody wanted, there wasn't a plan B. Well, this coaching staff we've been seeing plan B since they've gotten here. And it's not because they can't go after kids. It's just the circumstances that they're in. I just want to hear from you guys. I'm going to start with you, Mike G. Has this coaching staff impressed you in terms of its ability to find talented kids in unusual places to be on this team?
TBD. Until I see what it translates to, I'm going to say it looks impressive on paper.
Yeah.
And that's as far as I'm willing to go right now. It looks impressive on paper. I think that the vision is there.
Mm-hmm.
And going out and trying to find holes to fill, and making sure that they're not just going to accept that we're going to be bad in year one. I think their strategy shows that. Like, there's a plan to try to win now as much as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. So the portal cannot solve all your problems.
For sure.
You're trying to build a college team in free agency, you're going to fail miserably. You have to be able to develop. This is what Gus did. He recruited, okay for the country. Jeb Shaner dropped a comment earlier here. I was way far back, but he was like, Mike, how the hell can we have the number 9 average recruiting class and have depth issues? And the answer to that is simple. You recruit one deep, because 9 in the country, but only 6th in our conference or 5th in our conference. It's not. There are people in our people are spending more than us in recruiting. We're not covering as much ground. We're not even winning at home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't win. We live in one of the most fertile recruiting grounds in the country, and we're not even winning at home.
Yeah.
So what it really boils down to is, can this staff? I know it's a theme of the channel. Y'all are going to get tired of hearing it this season. Is, can they develop the guys that we have? So even in these guys who are coming in, I'm not counting on any kid coming in from JUCO ready-made. I assume he still needs coaching and development as well too. And we kind of get lulled into that with this portal talk. Some kids coming in, at wide receiver. You remember when Duke Williams came in? Everyone was like, okay, this guy's supposed to be the next big thing. He was going to be the thing that kept us going from Marshall's year 1 to year 2 at Auburn. Now, it turns out he needed a lot of development up here.
Right.
But I just don't think you can count on getting kids like that year in, year out. You have to have a system for where if a guy is coming in and you're taking a guy, it's because he is an otherworldly talent that will clearly start at any school. right now, these are stopgap fixes in the portal. Love that we're getting Big Tony Fair. Would love to see us develop the next one. Recruit and develop the next one. So that's going to be the story of this staff. I think that they're doing a good job trying to fill holes and identifying where the cracks in the seals are. How much of it they'll be able to close up is just TBD. It really is.
Well, I think that's the other part of the puzzle, right? To me, I felt like what you're talking about, Mike G, is something that was missing throughout the previous administration that we had at Auburn, right? They can go out and get guys who looked amazing on signing day, right? Mm-hmm. We had a lot to be proud of on signing day, but to your point, what happened once they got on campus, right? Not much, because the emphasis was on system and not development. To me, I think it's impressive that we're getting guys who, even though it's at a lower level, they've produced, and you put them into this system that you're using to develop. What more can they be? And again, it's potential. We know you can't really quantify that until Saturdays come in the fall. But I like what I'm seeing so far out of this coaching staff, in that we've seen what happened to the offensive line that we have currently because we kept swinging and missing on these heralded O-line recruits. What the heck was plan B then, right? Yeah. At least we got a plan B now. And granted, these guys, there hasn't been a lot of guys in the portal for O-line, but I'm just happy to see. I'm happy to see roster management, because again, we got some guys who are going to be playing on Sundays in that secondary, right? Yeah. Who expect to play, and they're saying we're not just going to sit up here and just celebrate that we got a great secondary. We got to have a plan in place for when these guys leave. These are things that are just encouraging to me with this coaching staff, because we're not waiting until weeks or a month before signing day to realize, oh crap, we need to fill in these guys. They're already doing it now. And to me, that's encouraging. The development and how we perform on Saturdays in the fall, I'm waiting to see that too. That's another piece of the puzzle. But I'm happy we already got a first piece in place.
For sure.
What are your thoughts, B?
I think it comes down to the difference between offense and defense for us. And our defensive coach is a guy who is a very personable man. He has a good reputation for making person-to-person connections with kids and their families. Speaking, of course, of Derek Mason. And he has nobody saying anything negative about him outside of maybe some Vanderbilt fans, you know. I don't even know if Vanderbilt football actually has legitimate fans. They just participants. You know, they go through the motions and they cheer because they have to, I guess. I don't know. But Derek Mason, I think, is the key to why we are recruiting so well on the defensive end right now. And it's just out of the transfer portal because, of course, all of the high school recruits have mostly signed. What they are doing, I think, is a credit to the defense and not a credit to Harsin, because Zach Etheridge and Eason are both two very good recruiters from what we have heard so far. From the evidence put forth by when we get a recruit, who are these recruits giving credit to? Who are they crediting for touching base with them and staying in touch with them? And who do they sound excited about making contact with? It's those guys, and it's Derek Mason. Yeah. There does not seem to be as much excitement on the offensive end. Now, there may be two reasons for that. One, I alluded to earlier, recruits can't tell you exactly what this offense is going to look like. And people like to know what they're coming into. Yeah. I remember we were recruiting Justin Fields a few years back, and we were going hard at him, and Georgia was in the lead, and his dad had made some comments to some recruiting press saying, yeah, well, you know, we want to see somebody who's going to be airing it out. They want to know what are you going to be doing for my kid? What type of reps are my kid going to be getting? Now, I don't know why you go to Georgia after saying that, but that was a part of it. He wanted to see it. And I think that one season, and we've been saying this, one good season of the intention of going to wide receivers consistently changes this. One good season of an offensive lineman whose stock skyrockets between when Harsin and Bobo got here and then the next NFL draft, that changes it. A good season where you go to TJ Finley instead of sticking with the struggling Bo, if that happens, shows recruits, oh, you are willing to change. You are willing to give it to the best guy. Well, now I'm on board.
Yeah.
Different routes shows wide receivers your intention. So we're going to have to get that. That's number one. Number two, what if Bobo and what if he's just not a great recruiter? I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. I know
history shows that he is.
Let's rewind that.
History shows that he is.
I will remind you all, as I do time and time again, recruiting is more about the school than the guy. It is 70% school, 30% the person. All right. Auburn had been doing almost nothing with our offensive talent for 5 out of the 8 years Gus was here, and we still got at least 2 really good players to come here every year. Why? Why would anybody come here after showing the lows that the offense has shown in 2018, 19, 20?
Because if you're that kind of talent, you know you're going to start.
You think you're going to start.
Right.
But here you couldn't even guarantee that. You would have saw John Franklin come here and sit behind Sean White, who couldn't throw it farther than 10 yards down the field. And we still lose that game. So what did you have to go on? And that's because people come to the school, the resources, the connections that the school has to regional high schools, all of that plays a large factor. Mike Bobo was reaping the benefits of being at the University of Georgia. I don't think it was very hard to recruit well at the University of Georgia because that has stayed consistent, whether he has been the offensive coach or not. And you take that out west to Colorado State, yeah, you've got some cachet. You've got some goodwill built up, and you can sell people a little bit of a dream doing that. But that didn't work so well at South Carolina because they're South Carolina, because it's about the school. So with that, I say we are not better recruiting-wise traditionally than LSU, Bama, Georgia, recently Clemson, and usually Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is he's no Derek Mason. All right. He doesn't have that reputation. He may not be that personable. He may not be that likable. What if he's not, if people don't instantly make that connection to him and feel like they can trust him? And I think we're seeing some of that, at the very least, some of that right now. That's what I think. And that's what I'm saying. We've heard nothing but good things about, you heard JG get on here and wax all positive about Derek Mason as a person, as an energy, as a leader of men. Has anybody said anything similar to that about Mike Bobo?
But I don't think that means that he's not as good of a recruiter.
I think it's far too early to tell that here because, again, it is about the school. So what he can do here will bear out over time. We haven't seen that hurdle for Mason and company, though, because I think what they are good at, all the positive character traits that he has and that Eason has and that Etheridge has, outweighs whatever unfamiliarity that he may have with some of these people.
What I will give you though is that people don't know what this offense is about. And I think because of that, it makes it easier to recruit defensively, especially if you've seen good defensive play at Auburn the past few years and the guys who've gone to the league as a result. It does make it easier for those guys.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's an indictment on Bobo as a recruiter just yet. That's to be determined. What you got, my G?
I agree with both points you guys are making here. Right. Like, what is this going to be? You know, what kind of offensive identity are we going to have? And what are we selling to recruits? You know, what are you selling to your team? And will this team maintain hope? You know, the reports are that the player-led practices are going really, really well. That's what I'm hearing. So, and that is a tiny bit of inside information, but like I'm hearing the player-led practices are going well. So these guys are going to have to, it just has to translate to game day. If it can translate to game day, these guys have a chance to do a lot more than what people expect when the season starts. So I'm just hoping that ends up being the case.
All right. Well, sounds like to be determined, man. But what we can determine is who's going to win this watch. So
Yes,
you guys go ahead. Listen, how many entries do we have so far, Mike G?
58 out of 142. Come on, man. We can.
So there's a lot of people who do not want an Auburn watch, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, listen, this is fine Italian craftsmanship. I'm not sure if it's Italian, but right. But listen, hashtag winning time. This comes courtesy of the Primetime Shop. You can check them out at www.primetimeshop.com. They donated this watch. This is the fun part of having a platform. This is that we've been approached by companies like this that just want to support what we're doing, but also give away something. And this owner is part of our community. Appreciate him being a part of our community and also adding to our community in this way. So this is sponsored by primetimeshop.com. I've got 60 entries here. I'm getting ready to roll it here in just a second. So 62 entries, hashtag winning time. Make sure you spell that correctly. And we're going to roll this one and see who wins the watch. You have to be here to win.
Come on, more entries. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, 63 out of 140. Come on, man. All right, I'm going to roll it in 10 seconds. Can I get 2 more inches? Can I get a nice round 65?
64 at least.
No,
okay, that's 64. That's 64.
One more and I'll roll it. There
All
it is.
right.
Hit the draw. Who's going to win it this week? Who is it gonna be? Steve.
Look at that.
Steve Nash.
Former Auburn tennis player and Brooklyn Nets basketball coach, Steve Nash.
Okay, so Steve, you gotta be here. Holla at us. Holla us in the comments here.
And he's been commenting, so I know he's been here. But you comment again and let us know that you're still.
Yeah, man. Raise a flag, wave the white flag for us, and let us know you still in here. Or I got to draw again. Those are the rules of War Report Society. You must be here to win.
Come on,
come on, Steve. Don't break my heart.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes.
Okay,
there he goes. There he goes.
All right. Listen, Steve, we need you to email us business@thewarreport.com. That's business@thewarreport.com. Please send me your address so we can get that watch out to you ASAP. Congratulations, Steve.
Congratulations, man. B, you want to shout out some of our people in the chat, super chats.
Man. Walt hollered at us.
Appreciate that. Walt, appreciate you, sir.
How about that home and home though? You know what? It's a little tough to get excited so far out. I mean,
is Brian Arson gonna still be here?
Man, I hope so.
I hope so too.
Man,
I'm just saying it's so far away. A lot can happen to our entire program by then.
For real, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy to see. I'm happy to see that Auburn's been scheduling some out of conference games, and I'm glad we're not that the program that just schedules just a bunch. Like I like that we'll schedule a school that's in state to play and give them an opportunity for exposure, and then we'll turn around and schedule a Miami or an Oregon or those types of schools. So I love the balance there with Auburn. So that's dope. We got another super chat, sir.
Yeah,
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Thank you, sir. Back at you. Happy Father's Day. Hope everybody's having a happy Father's Day as well.
Hey, man, and speaking of which, man, we just need to just go ahead and get on out of here so you fathers can enjoy the rest of your day. We're honored, though, that you guys wanted to spend some of that with us. It means a lot. That lets me know that we all family in here. And so, yeah, man, just enjoy the day and you be treated like the king that you are. So enjoy that. So Mike G, what we got, sir?
Oh man, listen, I'll say it just one more time. Become an insider. You definitely want to be a part of what we have coming down the pipe here in the next couple months in the lead up to the season. So we're dropping new insider content. Some of you guys got that this past Thursday. For the record, betting with B will, our in-season film reviews will drop an official schedule, but there's lots coming down the pipe that will be insider only. So I encourage you guys to sign up. This is a great way to support our content. Our merch store is live. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. Also, we are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to help save puppies. So please, you can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. You can go here to donate. 50 cents on every dollar goes to the Lee County Humane Society to help them take care of animals within their care. And we are proud to be partners with them to put that good back into the world. And our interview with Josh Payton, if you haven't had a chance to see this, I highly recommend you go back and watch this segment. It's always a good time when Josh joins us. So he'll be back with us during the season. A lot to talk about. He's been here a couple times to talk about what needs to happen, and he's going to come back to talk about how it's going. So please stop by and take a look at this segment. I really enjoy the building rapport when we get to bring other people on to give outside, unbiased, third-party perspectives on the program. I think holds a lot of value for us and for you guys as our viewers. So we appreciate Josh for taking time to do that interview with us.
And we always appreciate it, man, because those guys have just as much fun as we do. So it's always an honor to be able to build relationships with guys in the media, as well as people within the program or who've been associated with the program. It's just fun times for us at the War Report, man. And we're loving every minute, and we know you guys are enjoying the content. Be on the lookout for more of that. Guys, please be sure to share this video on your social medias. You see the information down there. Please use that. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. On Instagram and on Twitter, we are at The War Report. On TikTok, we're at TW Report. That's it, guys. We hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, fathers. Happy Father's Day again. We'll see you guys later this week with more content. But as always and forever, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.